Hi everybody, we are back today. We have been tagged by Cameron over at Ultralight Outdoors with a tag video that he has put out regarding your all-time favorite backpacking trip. So
Barbara told me one day that he had tagged us, and we were talking a little bit and trying to figure out which one it was our favorite, and we immediately both Eagle Cap Wilderness. That was by far an easy decision. You can see she's a bit bossy too. My next favorite one might be a solo trip.
it might be for both of us. So we have our notes here because we're old and we can't really remember things in detail, But we went ahead and we actually rewatched our video this afternoon.
Yeah, I want to go again now.
Yeah, and it really makes me want to get back out there. So last year on Labor Day week, 2019, we went to Oregon.
Yep.
And we did the Eagle Cap Wilderness Trail. And it's close to Lostine, Oregon. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. It was planned to be 3 nights, 4 days.
Yeah, about 36 miles, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. But we ended up doing it in 2 nights and 3 days.
Yeah, day 3 being a long one.
Yeah.
But we figured out that, the epicness of the hike really comes down to how much suffering it causes. So
yeah,
that day 3 was a great hike in that aspect.
Yeah. Really makes you question why you're out there. But to be honest, this trip in its entirety was the most amazing trip ever. I mean, it was beautiful from first moment to the last.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's, you get out there in those pines and the mountains, and you've got water running off constantly, and just all of that going on. It's just absolutely beautiful.
So on day 1, we started at the Two-Pan Trailhead, and at the end of day 1, we had completed only 8 miles.
Yeah.
But a little over 200, oh my goodness, a little over 2,000 feet of elevation gain, which felt like maybe 200,000. We had planned we wanted to enjoy our time at camp a little more than we normally do. We normally hike like morning to night.
Yeah. Set
up camp, eat, go to bed. So we had planned to try to enjoy camp a little bit more. So we did on night 1. We got there.
We were tired, and we found, we said, we're tired, let's find a place to camp, and we found a camp in this absolutely
beautiful,
pristine valley up on top of the mountains, and it was just, oh my God.
And getting to this particular campsite, some of the areas we went through were just, extraordinary. There's one part of the video where our original video that we have about this trip, that it just opens up into this meadow after a long, long ascent, and it was just amazing.
Yep.
So
camped up on a little ridge,
yeah,
in the middle of that valley, or a little high spot. I don't know what to call it, a ridge, but a little high spot. So, you could basically look out at the camp and have an overview from all 360 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
It was just,
a little stream,
yeah,
down below that you could hear, just kind of a babbling brook, I guess you'd say.
Wow.
So for this trail, the one thing that made us decide on this trip obviously was pictures we had seen. It was beautiful, but it was also a place where you didn't have to reserve or have any kind of reservations.
Yeah.
All you had to do when you arrived was fill out a backcountry permit, and I think it might have cost maybe $4.
Yeah,
it was pretty minimal.
But it was, you just stick it in an envelope and drop it in a box.
Yeah.
And so if you go, make sure you take some 5s and 1s, and you should be okay.
But it was dispersed camping, and they recommend, obviously, like most trails or most areas, most national areas and forested areas, to use established campsites to make sure you're not upsetting the environment. But you can basically camp wherever you would like. So you're kind of on your own schedule. You don't have to make reservations, and you can get out there and you can stay as long as you want and then come out when you're ready to come out. So that was one reason, because flying out to a place, you have to make sure you're a little bit flexible on start and end times because of obviously having your plane tickets purchased already. So then day two
was a little more brutal, a little more suffering than day one. 12.1 miles, 2,100 feet in elevation gain for the day. We started out at kind of that, I don't remember, how far did we climb up out of that valley till we broke over the pass into the lakes?
Yeah, so the first,
I'll say like 800 feet.
Yeah, it was close to 1,000 feet. We were supposed to have we had planned to complete the first day, but we stopped short. That left us another 1,000 feet to gain for the next morning that we should have gained for the previous day. The high point of the trail, we finally reached, I don't know, maybe midday.
Yeah.
And it was 8,561 feet. And that brings you up above Swamp Lake, where you can start seeing Swamp Lake, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, the water is just as beautiful and blue as it could
Beautiful.
be. It was, oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah, we ended up going down to Swamp Lake, then back up out of Swamp Lake, down to Steamboat Lake, and those switchbacks down into those alpine lake areas are long and brutal.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I mean, if you go back and look at the video, at that point, you see some snow that we crossed over, and I mean, this is Labor Day. It had not snowed.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I mean, so that
That
snow
was still from
that snow was
previous winter.
from prior winter. So yeah.
Yeah. So, but those lakes, I mean, Swamp Lake was beautiful. Just, I mean, so serene in those areas, and then even Steamboat Lake was like epic.
If you go, take fly rod, take fishing pole, do something, and plan to stay there at the lake and enjoy some of those wonderful trout. We didn't, but I sure wish I did.
Yeah, we did take a break at both lakes. We took small breaks, and we tried to take a little nap break at Steamboat Lake, but that didn't work. We were too jacked up with all the beauty around us. But we even talked about at some point maybe going back and hiking up into the lakes, spending 2 or 3 nights there at the lakes, because it would be just beautiful. I mean, the weather is gorgeous. Generally, just make sure you check the weather, but it's a really, really beautiful area.
Yep.
So, I mean, every turn was beautiful. The trails are great. They're easy to follow, and I think the whole entire trail is graded for livestock, so it's a little dusty, but
the trails weren't marked all that well, but before we went, I downloaded the trails on my GPS from Ultralight, and made sure that those trails matched up with what was on the Forest Service map. And so the marking of the trails wasn't really that big a deal. But I mean, the trails were very visible. There was no question about whether it was a trail or not anywhere on this thing. But knowing when you needed to turn was kind of a big deal.
Yeah. And that second night, we did camp at Mina Meadows, and I will say, night 1 we did not have any issues with mosquitoes, but night 2 at Mina Meadows, we had basically felt like we were rushed to go ahead, which we got to camp a little late that evening, so it was already starting to get a little darker, and we hurried up, cleaned up in the creek, and got some water, and then we ate and got in the tent.
Yep.
So that was a long, hard day anyway. We were ready for bed.
On day 3, we hiked 16 miles, or I hiked 16 miles, Barb hiked 13, and 2,800 feet of elevation. And
so the actual 2,700 feet of elevation was in less than 7 miles.
yeah, first climb up out of that Mina Meadows, it was intense.
Yeah. The additional mileage was basically the switchbacks down to the road was about another, what we say, 6 miles, another 6 miles to the road, and then a 3-mile road walk, which Craig decided he would rather do the road walk without a pack, so I
Yeah.
stayed with the packs and he went and retrieved the car.
But on the way up out of Minot Meadows, you hiked 6 miles up to Wilson Pass.
Yes.
And the view from Wilson Pass was just absolutely it was stunning.
It was. You're hiking up, and you have to take a lot. I mean, I do. I have to take a lot of little short breaks to trick your brain into thinking this is not that bad. And then you finally top up and over, and you start to see what you're going to see on the other side, and it's just amazing. It's epic.
Yeah, we actually stopped there and had us a long lunch break that
Yeah.
day. It was, we wanted to just sit there and just take it all in for a while, and it was a
And
ball
just enjoy
there.
it.
And yeah.
And we had already kind of decided we weren't going to, we had planned on camping at Brownie Basin at the bottom after
Yeah.
you topped over Wilson's Pass, but we received information that it might be a thunderstorm coming through.
Yeah.
So we'd already decided we're probably just going to go ahead and push on out and go to the car. So we wanted to take a good break to let our legs catch up with that. So, you know, it's a pretty dusty trail, but going down out of Wilson's Pass, it's pretty brutal, especially when you're on the end of the trip and your legs are tired. I know my knees were starting to really get bothered.
There
But-
was lots of suffering that day, so it was.
But it was
epic.
incredibly worth it and incredibly beautiful. Wouldn't change it. Wouldn't take,
No.
I mean, it was a very painful trip. You know, we've decided, being backpackers, and I'm sure all of you can relate, you have to be willing to endure some pain. You have to understand your level of what's acceptable to you, and then that's what you go with, and you plan your trips according to that. But this one was a very painful trip. I still remember it, and this was back in September, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was that amazing. So the total trip stats were 3 days, 3 full days on the trail, 2 nights, 36 miles, 6,900 feet in elevation gain and loss, and an enormous amount of memories and pictures, and just in my mind, just, you know, snapshots in my mind of how beautiful the trail was, the experience, the whole thing was just amazing.
It was awesome.
So that's our trip. So now we're asked to tag some channels that we would like to see their answers to this question of what is your most memorable trip or experience, whatever you might decide to do. And the first channel we'd like to tag is Chris Dixon. He has a fairly new channel, but really, really, really great videos. He puts a lot of effort into his videos. You can tell by the quality. They're beautiful. He does a lot of hiking in Arkansas, I believe. And I really love his style. So you need to check him out, Chris Dixon. The second channel, if she's not too busy, because I know she travels a lot, she's on the road, but Catherine Gregory has some of the most amazing trips. I imagine it would be hard for her to pick one that was her absolute favorite, but if she would like to pick her favorite and put out a video and let us know what her answer is, that would be fantastic. And then the last one would be Paul at Somewhereonthetrail. He does a lot of hiking in Arkansas, I think some in Oklahoma maybe, but he's done the Ouachita Trail, I think multiple times, maybe the Ozark Trail, and he's about to do the Arizona Trail. So that's going to be exciting to watch. So Paul, if you'd like to put out a video and let us know what your response to this is, that would be great. So, that being said,
See you on the trail.
bye.
God bless.